What is going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio here for another week in review, or a week that was. Um, might sound a little groggy recording this one a little early in the morning. Um, so let's get into the last week or so of sports card shenanigans. It has been a wild week. Um, the first big thing that happened, two big things have happened. One is evolving as we speak. And the first one was the PSA customer update. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this because I have made two videos about it already. So if you want my full thoughts on this, um, check out the last video that I published prior to this one. I will link to it here. If you did not see that one yet, I did about a 30-minute deep dive into what happened, what this means, how this affects us, what we should do, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly, but we're not really going to spend any time um, digging into this. So the other big thing that is kind of happening right now, and the reason I say that it's evolving, um, the NFL is having a lot of COVID problems this week. The first 3 weeks went by relatively without a hitch, but it was only a matter of time. Um, the Titans appear to have a full blown outbreak on their hands. There's some, Cam Newton has now tested positive. There was a potential false positive in the Saints this morning. It looks like that got cleared up. Games are getting delayed. Games are getting moved. I'd be surprised if the Titans can play next weekend. Um, and I don't know that we know how this is going to affect the card market for them yet. It definitely dampened baseball early on when baseball was really struggling to get going. The other thing, and I don't think that this has anything to do with this because this has been going on prior to the COVID shenanigans this week. But the NFL market is just weird, man. So this is, as usual, we're using market movers. The price movement by card chart that we look at frequently on the week that was video. And I have it sorted by number of sales as per usual. And you can see, once again, most of the stuff at the top is 2020 Mosaic, 2020 Don Russ. It's the new products. They're still selling. They are still in the red. Once again, this is normal as the market finds itself on these new releases. And the price has kind of stabilized for these guys. It's still trying to find its floor. It hasn't yet. That's normal. What's not normal is there's like nobody going up. Josh Allen, DK Metcalf, and Russell Wilson are like the only guys going up in this market. Little Mahomes there, but we're going to talk about him more in depth in a second. Even Calvin Ridley is kind of swung back the other way after really climbing. But you can see here, so these are the cards ranked by number of sales. So this is what's selling the most on eBay of the cards loaded in market movers. Once again, not every card is in market movers, but a lot of the big ones are. And this is going back 7 days. And just look how look how much red there is. Once again, Russell Wilson going up. This is a good one. Jarrett Stidham going up. Based off of the Cam Newton news. I'm not even sure he's going to start that game. I think they're going to run Brian Hoyer out there. That's just my 2 cents, but we will see. If I had Jarrett Stidham and I wasn't in love with him long term and I was looking for a reason to sell him, now is probably your time. Because I don't know that I believe in him for the long term. But as we continue to scroll down this list, you can see Aaron Rodgers going up a little bit as well as they have played well. But it's basically Allen and the Seahawks and a little bit of Aaron Rodgers. So the concerning thing here is, and this just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. While, so in general, across the 3 markets this week, basketball is continued to have basically leveled off. For the most part, it is relatively flat with very small downward trends. Baseball and football are in moderate declines, which is baseball I get because the season's winding down. There are some guys going up, but the football market just makes no sense to me. Um, so this is Patrick Mahomes. I went with his optic here because it's the more common of his rookies. His prism is super expensive, and they are fairly rare. Um, so this is his PSA 10 optic and his base optic. And I ran this chart back 14 days. And Mahomes is down 30% on his raw optic in the last 30 days or 14 days. His PSA 10's down 10%. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The Chiefs have looked fantastic. He's played great. And his prices are going down. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Same with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's played good. I ran this chart back 30 days just to kind of give a better view of what's going on here. Lamar Jackson's played really well, and this card's been downtrending for a while now. Now, this card got insanely high for a while, but it has really pulled back. And once again, they've played very well, other than one game to the Chiefs. And he's down 30% over the last 30 days. So basically, since the season started almost. He's down 30%. And he's probably still a front runner. He's on the short list for MVP, with Wilson and Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. And, they're still a favorite to win the AFC. It's them and the Chiefs, basically. And both the two predominant favorites to win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl from the AFC, Mahomes and Lamar, are both down price-wise. It's just so weird. Here's Kyler Murray, also down. Once again, did a 30-day chart on this just to see it. Over 30 days, he's up. But you could see over the last week or so, he is actually down. He bottomed out here, spiked back up again, then immediately went right back down again. So just this NFL market's so strange to me. I'm glad that I, didn't get too heavily involved with it to begin with. I know I recommended Odell Beckham big time in the preseason, and his stuff's tanked. AJ Brown got hurt. He was another guy I was pretty big on. Luckily, AJ Brown was a relatively cheaper investment. All being said, Odell was a little bit more expensive, and I think Odell can still bounce out of it if he has a couple big games. Here's Jarrett Stidham's chart. This is just comical on the thought that he may get a single start today. Like, what's he going to do? Take Cam Newton's job? This is the stupidest thing ever, in my opinion. Because even if he plays well, he's going right back to the bench. And maybe he gets 2 weeks worth of starting. Let's assume Cam Newton's out 14 days. Maybe, I guess it could be longer. The virus is weird. He could keep testing positive or whatever. Maybe he gets 3 games at most, and he's going right back to the bench as long as Newton's fine. And I think there's a legitimate shot that he's not even starting, that it's Hoyer. So we'll see what happens with this. But if I had Stidham, if I was buying the hype on Stidham prior to Newton coming, and I thought I wanted to try to get out of it, and I didn't want to hold it long term, this is probably your shot to dump some of his stuff. Let's switch over to basketball because the football market just gives me a headache. I don't understand what's happening. Basketball is also fairly predictable. Guess what? The Heat guys are going down. The Lakers guys are going up. We're going to look at Tyler Hero's chart individually, but his stuff's taken a beating in the last couple days. LeBron's stuff is starting to go up. His first Lakers prism, quote unquote, the 2019, is starting to creep up just a little bit. You can see Roz just very slightly creeping up. It went up to about $40. It was down to almost 30 or 35. And you can see the base PSA 10 of that same prism is up about 9% on the week. And then everything else, and once again, this is sorted by number of cards sold. You can see Tyler Hero's leading the charts again, but not for the good this time. Last week, if we looked at this chart, he was at the top and it was all green. Now he's at the top and it's all red. And if we scroll down here, you could see I'm starting to see signs where the basketball market is slowly starting to creep the other way. You can see Jaws Prism here dipped right below 400. I don't expect it to go much lower than that. You see here just a slight little uptick on Luka's base Prism Raw into the green. Zion PSA 9, slight little uptick into the green. Actually, 14%. It's a little more than slight, but Kobe's on here a bunch. Bam sliding down to be expected. Kendrick Nunn, big jump up because now he's getting a bunch of playing time with Dragic being out. Once again, Tyler Hero going down. Porter Jr. slightly ticking up again after he got all the way down to $30 a card on his base Prism. Kobe White, major jump up with the hire of Billy Donovan. Once again, Josh slightly creeping up. We're not going to go through every player on this list, but in general, you could see that these swings are starting to get less. Zion up 18% on the week on his raw Prism, up to 171. Long story short, if there are off-season guys you want to buy in the NBA, I think now is the time to completely unleash the hounds, because this market seems like it's slowly starting to swing back the other way. If you wait much longer, I think the prices are going to start creeping. I think you still have a little bit of time, but you definitely want to be laying out your plans for guys you want to go get. Interesting thing that I heard on the Sunday Night Bill Simmons podcast. I think it was the Sunday Night Bill Simmons podcast. The one that, or I'm sorry, it might have been Thursday's Russillo podcast that Simmons was on. Regardless, it was Simmons and Russillo. I don't remember if it was Thursday or Sunday. I think it was actually Thursday on the Russillo pod. They hinted, and Simmons seemed pretty confident in it, that there's a legitimate chance that the NBA season might not be back until March. Basically stating that, the owners want fans in the stadium, and that's not going to happen in January or anytime soon. So there's a real chance that it goes to March. Now, I don't know if that changes with what the NFL is going through. I don't know if they were getting optimistic because the NFL had 3 good weeks, and now all of a sudden it's spiraling out of control again. I think if the NFL season could dictate a lot how the NBA approaches it. If the NFL could get their crap together and finish this. Nice. Apparently, Siri didn't like me saying crap. If they could get their stuff together and get the season finished and not have a bunch of movements and cancellations, that could build some faith in the NBA trying to pull this off. If the NFL spirals out of control and they can't get it together, I could see that pushing the NBA season back. I could also see a bubble being in play to start the season. Maybe they do the first quarter of the season in the bubble and then reassess. Go in for a month, get 15, 20 games in, then come out, give the players like a week or two, and then, start back up a regular season, in home markets or whatever. I think everything's up in the air. The whole world's up in the air right now. It's been a crazy last 72 hours in the US here. But long story short, it seems like the NBA market is definitely starting to slightly pull out of its level off period and maybe start to go into a creep up area. Let's look at a couple individual cards really quick. Here's the Tyler Hero base Prism. Started the week at $55, is all the way down to $33 as the Heat look like a JV team. I really thought the Heat were going to give the Lakers a run for their money. I think they may have, but they just got decimated by injuries and they are basically toast. It wouldn't surprise me if they get swept. Lakers stuff is on the upswing. Anthony Davis, PSA 10, is up almost 20% on the week. There is a very legitimate shot that he wins the finals MVP. He's going to have to really ball out to get it because the media is going to want to give it to LeBron. But either way, and then before we hop over to baseball really quick, and we're only going to spend 2 seconds on baseball, Basketball. If you have Lakers stuff, I would honestly start selling it right now. I understand they're up 2-0 and there's 2 more games to go, but here's what's going to happen. The night that they clinch, whether it's 2 games from now or 3 games from now, my guess is it's either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep, and they win in 5, as Zach Lowe likes to call them. Um, the night that they win, the market is going to get flooded. There are tons of people sitting on LeBron Lakers stuff, AD, et cetera, et cetera. AD Lakers stuff, optic hollows, blue velocities, whatever, that are just dying to throw them on the market, and they've been waiting for them to win. So you're going to get lost in a sea of nonsense. Myself personally, what I'm doing is timing auctions to end during game 4. So, like, I have some AD optic, like a blue velocity, a hollow, some other inserts of him in Lakers jerseys. I have some LeBron stuff. Nothing crazy. I've moved off a lot of my LeBron stuff. But same thing. I have some LeBron inserts, this, that, and the other thing. I am going to time that stuff to end on auction during game 4. And I may wait. You have to pay for them. I may wait and pay the dollar listing fee to do 24-hour auctions, especially if they win game 3. If they come out and dominate game 3 again, this is ending in 4. If the Heat don't win tonight. And I think if you have auctions ending during the tail end of that game, you could see some really nice returns. I would also advise to start trying to sell that stuff now, whether you're doing an auction to end during that game 4, or you're throwing stuff up there on best offer, buy it now, or posting it in Facebook groups or whatever. It takes time to sell this stuff, and I would rather be a little bit of ahead of it than trying to chase during the craze, during the clinch night, and lock this stuff in. That's just my opinion. Do what you will with it, but I really think the right play is to time auctions to end during game 4, especially if they win game 3. If they blow them out in game 3, this is over. Set your auctions up to end at around midnight Eastern time, whatever night that is, and let it rip. See what happens. Because I think there's at least a decent chance that you get caught up in a little bit of a feeding frenzy and prices go higher than what they should. It's typically what happens in those situations. Usually the craziest prices you see on guys, like when Luka hit the game winner and stuff, Luka auctions that were ending right after that game were the highest prices sold on those cards. So that would be my advisement to you, is to end those auctions during that game. Let's touch on baseball really quickly, and it's going to be super quick because essentially the baseball market is basically in the red. There's a lot of green on here, but it's all, not all, but it is mostly juniors. The stuff going up is Fernando Tatis and Ronald Acuna. Lou Bob got a little bump there in green because he had a big hit the other day, but then they got eliminated, so I don't expect that to last. Same with Eloy Jimenez and a few other guys. I don't spend a ton of time on baseball, but yeah, Tatis and Acuna are both going up because they both had pretty good series and they both moved on. The one thing I will say about baseball is I will be looking for off-season pickups, quote unquote. I'm going to be taking a real hard look at Soto's prices and keeping an eye on them, and be looking to buy more. I think Soto is a monster, and I think Soto with a full season behind him next year could put up some absolutely monstrous numbers. And maybe that team gets it turned around a little bit and has a chance to make a playoff run. So Soto is definitely going to be one I'm going to continue to watch prices on and see where they go and see where it bottoms out. And look to get more. I have some Juan Soto already. I definitely would not mind acquiring more when prices bottom out. So, and maybe we'll do a little off seasons target video for some baseball guys. I know baseball's not super popular, but we'll throw some love to the baseball guys and knock that out. So that's all I got for you guys today. Um, Next video will probably be Tuesday. It'll either be an NFL video, depending on what happens this weekend, or the other thing that I have planned to do is one on how to protect yourself in the hobby regarding, scams or getting taken advantage of, or just poor decision making on certain things, stuff like that. So we'll go over some of that stuff as well. That video is definitely coming. I just don't know when yet. I was wanted to do it late last week, but then the PSA stuff happened, so I keep getting delayed on doing it. But that's the next thing that I have in my mind that I want to crank out. Is how some of the common scams that you see, how to avoid them, and just other things that people do to prey upon people in some of the Facebook groups and stuff like that you guys should really just be avoiding. So that's it. Have a good Sunday, guys, or whenever you're watching this, and go Browns. Probably going to get boat raced by the Cowboys today. Future people, you guys already know what happened. So we'll catch you guys on the next one, and peace.